Saints 365 is a passion project to glorify God and honor His saints. This project is based upon the book, The Lives of the Saints by Father Alban Butler.
May 22nd, St. Ivo, Confessor. St. Ivo Helori, descended from a noble and virtuous family near Treguier in Brittany, was born in 1253. At 14 years of age, he went to Paris and afterwards to Orleans to pursue his studies. His mother was wont frequently to say to him that he ought so to live as to become a saint, to which his answer always was that he hoped to be one. This resolution took deep root in his soul and was a continual spur to virtue and a check against the least shadow of any dangerous course. His time was chiefly divided between study and prayer. For his recreation, he visited the hospitals, where he attended the sick with great charity and comforted them under the severe trials of their suffering condition. He made a private vow of perpetual chastity, but this not being known, many honorable matches were proposed to him, which he modestly rejected as incompatible with his studious life. He long deliberated whether to embrace a religious or a clerical state, but the desire of serving his neighbor determined him at length in favor of the latter. He wished, out of humility, to remain in the lesser orders, but his bishop compelled him to receive the priesthood, a step which cost him many tears, though he had qualified himself for that sacred dignity by the most perfect purity of mind and body, and by a long and frequent preparation he was appointed ecclesiastical judge for the diocese of Rennes. St. Ivo protected the orphans and widows, defended the poor, and administered justice to all with an impartiality, application, and tenderness which gained him the goodwill even of those who lost their causes. He was surnamed the Advocate and Lawyer of the Poor. He built a house near his own for a hospital of the poor and sick. He washed their feet, cleaned their ulcers, served them at table, and ate himself only the scraps which they left. He distributed his corn, or the price for which he sold it, among the poor immediately after the harvest. When a certain person endeavored to persuade him to keep it some months, that he might sell it at a better price, he answered, "I know not whether I shall be alive then to give it." Another time the same person said to him, "I have gained a fifth by keeping my corn." The saint replied, "But I 100-fold by giving it immediately away." During the Lent of 1303, he felt his strength failing him, yet far from abating anything in his austerities, he thought himself obliged to redouble his fervor in proportion as he advanced nearer to eternity. On the eve of the Ascension, he preached to his people, said Mass, being upheld by 2 persons, and gave advice to all who addressed themselves to him. After this, he lay down on his bed, which was a hurdle of twigs plaited together, and received the last sacraments. From that moment he entertained himself with God alone, till his soul went on to possess him in glory. His death happened on the 19th of May, 1303, in the 50th year of his age. Reflection. St. Ivo was a saint amidst the dangers of the world, but he preserved his virtue untainted only by arming himself carefully against them, by conversing assiduously with God in prayer and holy meditation, and by watchfully shunning the snares of bad company. Without this precaution, all the instructions of parents and all other means of virtue are ineffectual, and the soul is sure to split against the rock, which does not steer wide of it. Also celebrated on May 22nd, St. Rita of Cascia, widow. St. Rita of Cascia, whose feast is celebrated on May 22nd, was born at Rocca Purena, Italy, about the year 1386, and died at Cascia in the year 1456. Her parents opposed her desire to become a nun and persuaded her to marry a man who in a short time lost his reputation on account of cruelty. After being converted from his wicked ways, he was murdered by an enemy. Rita's 2 sons then resolved to take revenge, but through her prayers they repented. After their death, she applied several times for admission into the Augustinian convent at Cascia. Repeatedly refused until God himself cleared away all obstacles, she entered the convent, made her profession, and lived the life of a holy and devout religious for 42 years, a shining example of every Christian virtue, pure as a lily, simple as a dove, and obedient as an angel. That God is wonderful in his saints is easily proved in the life of St. Rita, and owing to her great number of miracles, she is often styled the Saint of the Impossible. The Church has placed her stamp of approval on these miracles of St. Rita and has raised her to the dignity of the altar by canonizing her a saint of God on the 24th of May, 1900. Reflection. Let us learn from the life of St. Rita to pray frequently for the conversion of sinners. There is no prayer more pleasing to God than that which has for its object the conversion of those who lead lives of sin, particularly sins against faith, such as leaving the one true church and practicing a false religion, willful doubt, disbelief, denial, ignorance, and those who commit sin by exposing their faith to danger. Saint Rita of Cascia and Saint Ivo, pray for us.
Saints 365 is narrated by Rob Roller, edited by Josh Bach, and produced by Our Local Parish Productions. Funding for this project is made possible by Catholic businesses. Please go to the business directory at ourlocalparish.com to support these generous businesses. Thank you for listening. God bless.